Hey everybody, welcome back to RBL Weekly, the show where we take a look at the top 5 roast battles from around the globe in the Roast Battle League. I am the RBL Commissioner. My name is Pat Barker, joined as always by the lovely and talented Sarah Keller.
Hello.
And we're back. We're back with another episode, back to our normal format after a couple episodes of watching in its entirety our Halloween super event. And now we are back to business as usual. We're going to be looking at battles from all over the world and the top 5 of the last week.
Yeah.
We use that term liberally, playing around maybe last month. I don't know. We get the footage when we get it.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's just say they're the top 5 of what we receive. So it's not like we're picking and choosing which ones are going to be our top 5. It's like, okay, this is what we have. Mm-hmm. We'll pick the top 5 out of those. Just,
Yeah, so basically every week, the Roast Battle League, there are, 60, 70 battles, filmed. And then we get like 6. And we play around with those. So, that's what happens when the people in charge of the divisions are, the comics are busy people. We're getting up on stage. We have day jobs. Some of us are heavily on drugs. So we get what we get, and we try to make it work for you guys. But we have 5 really fun battles this week with 5 distinctive kind of voices and tastes to them. And I really like that. And we're going to start with a really interesting and distinct one. We weren't the only ones who did a Halloween mega event up in the Bay Area.
Oh.
Our friend Josh Means put on another roast battle at Cobb's Comedy Club in San Francisco, and it was entirely Halloween themed, which means it's pretty amazing that we've been doing it in the Belly Room for 9-10 years. We've never done one of these.
No.
And it's a lot of fun. And our first battle this week.
So are they battling as these costumed characters?
No,
they're just as each other but in costume.
Exactly.
It's
It's not like SpongeBob lives in a pineapple under the sea. It's Sarah who is dressed like SpongeBob is a bitch or whatever. So I think that's much better.
Yes.
The character battles I could take or leave, but the costume element adds a couple of fun layers and wrinkles to the battle. So let's start in the Bay Area. This is our number 5 battle of the week. This is Marty Cooney versus Drea Myers.
If I knew Marty's micro penis was gonna be out, I wouldn't have even written jokes. Look at this shit. Until the AC turns on, that shit's gonna go inside. Marty fucking Cooney, dude. Marty Cooney is a lot like Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, because he's also a closeted gay man who rarely kills in public. That's actually why he chose to wear this costume tonight, because he wants you all to believe that he likes to dodge balls. In reality, this fool teabag so much, you can mistake him for being British John.
Is there a fucking character limit on these things? What the shit is that? Thanks for your fucking essay, Jesus Christ. Draya, every penis is a micro penis to you fucking tramp.
He's just mad because my dick is
No. You had fucking 10 right there. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Drea is a friend of the LGBT community because every time she fucks a guy, they never have another woman. Well, because they kill themselves. Now you can rebut, baby.
He's killing it. He's killing it.
Take your time.
Take your time.
Clearly hates women, everybody.
At least one.
Is he gonna stop talking, or are you just gonna keep talking the whole time? This is what happens when you let an autistic dude do a roast battle. Jesus Christ. Marty actually did recently have a girlfriend, you guys. He was dating a black woman. Yeah, because she's the only one that owned a strap-on big enough to pay him. Yeah, when they got in a fight, she slapped him, stopped drinking, and immediately told everyone she hit her bottom.
This is kind of weird to admit up here, but I'm actually kind of attracted to Draya. Because I'm Irish and she looks like a sack of potatoes. See, that's short. It's nice and short. That's pretty.
He is full Irish, everybody, so his mom actually drank while she was pregnant with him. Yeah, which explains why he's 5'9" but has the body of a dwarf. I was gonna ass that fat and legs that stubby since Little People season 8. His best friends are Happy, Sleepy, Dopey, Grumpy, and Dot.
Drea, you look like a Frankenstein sewn together from body parts down at a Limp Bizkit concert.
How many was that?
That was 12 for you, 3 for me.
Marty Cooney looks like a community college Brock Turner. He looks like he raped a bitch, but it was behind a dumpster of a Burger King.
Drea, are you done?
Yeah,
Sorry, you
go
got
ahead.
more? You got
No.
more? Sorry for thank you for answering the question. What does a female rapist look like? Drea's fucked so many black guys, she has a sexually transmitted accent.
I think, all right, I think we should actually start with that. That's very funny. We're recording this, right? All right. Good. Yeah, leave this in right here.
My question?
No, I'm going to tell everybody what just happened.
Okay.
Because normally what happens is we watch the battle, and then before I get back and go, wow, that was great, or whatever I do, we talk like a little bit in case we were unclear on anything that happened. And Sarah, and none of us had a good answer. We don't know if Draya is born female, identifies female, or trans or something, because there were jokes that were weird, and she's wearing a costume. I know she identifies as a female cartoon character for the purpose of this battle, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Not sure. So I want to throw that out because we don't want to like misgender anyone or any of that kind of stuff. And also, when you show up dressed like a cartoon character, it's really hard to tell what your preferred pronouns are. I don't know.
And it's also a knock on Marty for not making it clear whether he was making a stupid joke about transgender people or about who Drea is as a person.
Well, there was one from Drea where she said something like, "You're just mad that my dick is bigger than yours." Like,
Right.
I wasn't even clear on that one. I don't.
That's true.
I don't totally know. Here's the things I can say for sure. Amazing costumes.
Who is Drea?
Drea was a character from Bob's Burgers.
Oh, duh. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really interesting battle from a couple different perspectives. And I have a couple thoughts on it, but I want to let you kick it off because I want to see if we have kind of the same analysis of the battle.
Oh, I was going to let you kick it off.
Then I'll kick it
Yeah.
off. Okay. It is really risky to battle anybody, but especially a woman, and get as aggressive as Marty did almost immediately with the "shut the fuck up, you're a dumb bitch," like all that kind of stuff. It worked. It worked shockingly well. Because if you had told me ahead of time this is going to be his strategy, he's just going to tell her to shut the fuck up and call her a bitch or whatever, I would have said that's probably not the best idea. But it worked. It was just an interesting strategy to me. I preferred his jokes. I thought they were better. I thought they were funnier. I thought they were more concise and to the point. I thought she was a little bit long and rambly. I thought he was able to flip the micro penis thing immediately. That's a ballsy outfit to wear on stage. So I guess you better have a rebuttal ready to go.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. That was a ballsy, well, small ballsy strategy. I want to hate Marty so badly because when he was like, "shut the fuck up," I was like, don't ever say that to your opponent, regardless of gender, but because it just comes across as like you're not being a good sport. You're not in sometimes you want to tell him to shut the fuck up, but maybe find like a funny or more artful way of saying that. However, like you said, it worked somehow. And I don't know if that's a statement to like Drea's performance that like.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. Let me play devil's advocate on this one, and let's debate the point a little bit. Yes, you should not tell your opponent to shut the fuck up. Agreed. But when your opponent is doing 4 jokes on her first turn, perhaps there is a more artful way to say shut the fuck up. But I think the reason it worked was because to a degree, she's doing 4 jokes. They're not hitting. There's diminishing returns as she's going. To a degree, I think everybody in the crowd is thinking some variation of shut the fuck up and let this guy go.
Yes, I think you're right. And I didn't, these battles are edited for us. So they our editor Cody takes out the pauses and the long stops, so we see like a nicer, tighter version. So I think you touched on something that I didn't pick up on, which is that he was speaking for the audience.
Now, I actually had the opportunity to watch this battle in its entirety this morning before the edit was made, and he was definitely speaking for the audience.
Okay.
That was my perception.
That makes total sense then.
Yeah, I mean, it's still maybe not the way I would have handled it. Sometimes your opponent is bombing and you just give them enough rope to hang themselves and get the fuck out of the way, but that's not how he chose to handle it. It worked, so let's move on from that. Let's just talk about the content of the battle. He was consistent the whole way through. He had some really, really great jokes, I thought. Some stuff I've never heard before. I thought that a lot of her jokes were sort of like weird observational ones about he has the body of a dwarf and then he did have a fat ass. I noticed that. That was maybe more of a commentary on me, but perfect costume and camera angle for me to be like, damn, dude, that guy get a BBL?
That's so funny. I could not look away from his dick. Like, that's all I could look at was the tiny, like, I was like, I can tell that he's circumcised. This is so upsetting to me.
First 2 to 3 jokes, I was focused on the dick, and then I switched to the ass.
I couldn't.
I switched up mid-battle. I mean,
I have to say what just happened.
Sure, go for it.
Brian Moses just walked back into the room, heard Pat say, I switched from the dick to looking at his ass, and went... and
it's our best episode ever, Moses. Welcome to the show.
So good. Sorry.
No, my guy had a dump truck back there. It was impossible to not notice. But he also had the great jokes. So
yeah. I loved the Limp Bizkit joke, the female rapist joke.
Oh my
Those
God.
were Frankenstein monster created by Limp Bizkit parts at fans. I mean, begrudgingly, I love that joke.
It's amazing how there are some references that are really powerful. Because she made like a Seven Dwarves one before.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, all right, whatever. I guess Seven Dwarves, that's where we're going. And then he's like Limp Bizkit, and everybody's like, fuck yeah, dude, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I was waiting for. That's what I was waiting for, a hot Limp Bizkit joke. It works every time. If you're an aspiring battler, find out what's fucked up about your opponent and then find a way to link it to Limp Bizkit, and you're golden.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you got to do. Any other thoughts on the battle before we keep it moving?
Yeah, I thought Marty's presence was stronger than Drea's in that she paced back and forth a lot. She didn't really she didn't deliver her jokes to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought she took a lot of her own power and momentum away by not just settling into the battle.
That's a great observation, and it's kind of a snowball effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
If things aren't going well, you tend to exacerbate those things, and it's really hard to keep focused and concise when you're losing momentum, because sometimes you feel like I need to do something to gain momentum back. Maybe that's do 5 jokes a turn instead of 4. Like, more jokes I have, eventually I'll get them, and it doesn't exactly work that way. But great observation and a good battle to start us off. A lot of fun. Love the costume thing. We might have to steal that at some point, to be totally frank. All right, so we leave the number 5 battle and we hop on the 5 freeway and go down to Los Angeles. That's how you do a transition, folks. That's why I'm the best in the fucking business. Number 4 battle takes place in Los Angeles. This was this past week in the Belly Room. I was there to judge this one live. You were not there this week. It's going to be your first time seeing it. It features a New York battler who we love. She comes into town a couple times a year, always takes a battle against whoever's ready, willing, and available. Her name is Priya Blunts. And we wanted to feature her on the podcast last time, but to be totally frank, she murdered her opponent so bad, it was not even fair.
Yeah.
And it was like, how can we showcase a battle that is this one-sided? So this time, she came in, she did her thing again. Her opponent put up a better fight. I don't want to spoil the ending, but she's really good, and we're about to find out why. This is Max Halpert going against Priya Blunts from the Belly Room this past Tuesday. Let's check it out.
Give it up for my opponent, Cum Dog Millionaire. Priya's last name is Blunts because she's used to getting passed around in the alley by black guys. Priya looks like she bombed at an audition for Nick Cannon's next baby mama.
Guys, give it up for my opponent, Elijah Can't Get Wood. Max is on all the dating apps, but his favorite is Amber Alerts. Max describes himself as painfully single, and the girls he dates can be described as mysteriously missing.
Yeah, Priya's into tarot and horoscopes, which is crazy because she couldn't even predict her boyfriend leaving her.
It was actually my husband. Yeah. This is actually the longest conversation Max has ever had with a brown woman. Yeah, I'm not Max's type because I'm Indian, or as Max pronounces it, Mexican. Max is about as woke as the girls that he usually fucks.
I mean, I prefer the ones that are asleep, but you know.
No, that's what I meant.
Oh. Thank you, Cleopatra. Priya's favorite sex position is sacred cow, where she stands motionless while her husband eats out other people.
Thank you, elf that still lives on his daddy's shelf. Max is a total sci-fi and fantasy nerd. Some of his favorite fictional characters include Darth Vader, Superman, the Clit.
Okay, so solid, quick, to the point. I thought she kind of controlled the battle. One thing that stood out to me was we just talked last battle about how Draya was doing too many jokes and losing momentum, and I think I used the phrase snowball effect. Mm-hmm. And that works in the other direction as well. Now, this wasn't, full disclosure, Priya last time was on a whole other level. This time she was really good, clearly good enough to get the win. But she has sort of that New York thing where it's like stacking jokes. And as much as we saw that momentum ball up against Draya, I've seen it work now a couple times for Priya in the opposite direction where she's just like hitting combo punches.
Yes.
And I thought it was pretty effective. They didn't all land, but more landed than not.
Yeah, and she got herself enough momentum that even when she did stutter step, it wasn't enough to slow her down or stop her in any way. I think the thing that stood out to me the most is Max was on his notes the whole time, mm-hmm. and it's interesting because notes in LA are like a no-go. It's a nobody does it. We all know that. New York is a little bit more friendly with notes. So I thought it was very interesting to have a battle between a New York comic and an LA comic where the LA comic is relying on their notes.
Yeah.
I thought this was a beatdown. Like, Max tried so hard, or he didn't.
His first joke was really good.
Yes, that's true. The Nick Cannon.
Passing blunts around, and then the Nick Cannon tag was cool. But her last name is Blunts, getting passed around by Black. I saw what he was doing.
Yes.
He was like, that's a roast joke. He wasn't able to sustain that momentum, but yeah, it was a beatdown. I agree with that.
Yeah. My favorite part was when he tried to explain her joke back to her, but it was like, you didn't even... I don't know if it was like he wasn't listening to the joke or he legitimately didn't get it. Or he's such a bad joke writer that he didn't understand a creatively written, well-written joke that doesn't just hand it to you.
I mean, really, yeah.
Sorry, Max.
Any one of those is a damning indictment on the comedic abilities of Max Halpert from Sarah Keller. And I don't disagree. It's so funny we talked about, because that was another thought that I had. We just got done talking about the momentum and how that looks different in one battle and versus another one. And we've watched a lot of battles recently where somebody has a self-deprecating rebuttal.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what he was trying to do.
Uh-huh.
She made a joke about him, and she pulled it off in this very battle. When he was like, yeah, her boyfriend left her, and then she was like, it was actually my husband. That's how you do it. Absolutely. You made fun of me. I can burn myself even worse. I'm going to tag your joke and get a laugh out of it. That's fantastic.
And to me, that was the shift in the battle where she totally took control. She endeared herself to the audience. Sorry to cut you off. I'll let you keep.
No, continue. Yeah, absolutely.
To me, that was the pivotal moment in the thing. She took control of her narrative. Oh God, I hate that I just said that. Can we cut that out? She took control over it.
She owned her truth.
She owned it.
Yeah.
No, I loved that moment.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of that recently where people are doing that, and I think that's what Max was going for. But you do have to listen to the joke.
Yeah.
You can't just repeat the joke and then try to claim credit for it.
Yeah.
Like that's not how any of this works. So yeah, another decisive win for Priya Blunt. She is 3-0 in LA. I know she's active in the New York scene as well. I'm a big fan of hers, and I expect as we roll into 2023 and the next evolution of the Roast Battle League, whatever that looks like, she is active, she's participating, she is winning, she is really good. I think she could be a major player on this platform next year and going forward.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And whether it's in New York or LA, she does it all over the place. So credit to Priya Blunt. Speaking of all over the place, let's go out to jolly old England now.
Woo!
And we have a battle from Roast Battle London that features the two most British names I have ever heard in my entire life. These guys sound like they are characters on a British sitcom or maybe baseball players from the 1800s. I have to read this because I want to make sure I get this right. This is from London. This is Duffy Connors versus Hugh Peacock. Jesus Christ. Let's watch this thing.
Hugh, this is Hugh Peacock. Hugh is an alpha male. He proved that by eating all the beta males. Except me. Yes, I will be doing Hugh's comebacks for him.
Don't worry, you're not seeing double. In this case, you're actually seeing 1.5. As you can see, Duffy has his own unique style. A lot of people call it homo-aspirational. He's actually also bisexual, which he says is homo-aspirational.
If you're homeless, you kind of become bisexual over time. Hugh works in construction, which is lucky because the walls of his heart are caving in. Hugh looks like a werewolf who ate the moon.
Duffy looks like he loves picking up half-smoked cigarettes. For the month that's in it, I think it's important that we remember that he did serve in the army, or at least that's what his cardboard sign says.
Vietnam was rough.
Clearly.
Hugh is the first person to request that in between roast jokes we have a snack break. The only reason that Hugh is here is when he heard Roast Battle, he thought his rugby team had ordered up some prostitutes.
Duffy was once seduced by an old man in a ferry port.
You all know this story.
He tells it really well, but to make it quite short, basically he heard a chat of light he'd never heard before. I'm willing to suck your dick.
Hugh, due to his unhealthiness, is often out of breath, but never out of wit. Hugh told me he cheats on his girlfriends. Girlfriends was what he calls his diet.
Duffy's dad sadly died before he was born. His final words were, "I wish I had died before he was conceived."
Hugh's dad walked in on him losing his virginity, but there's only so many prostitutes in Hugh's town. So his mother sees the gap in the market.
I am your half-brother. Duffy's girlfriend is a black lady, just when you thought things were looking up for that community.
Yes, I've got a black girlfriend. I'm pretty cool. Ebony and I, we live together in Hackney. My hero is Martin Luther King, and Hugh's hero is the Burger King.
All right. I mean, that was fun. It was my first time seeing either of those guys. I enjoyed it. Duffy especially.
Mm-hmm.
Thought his jokes were really funny. Across the board, works in construction, the walls of his heart. That's a great joke to me. Found ways to call him fat repeatedly, but kind of like switch it up. And most importantly, had a song break at the end.
I mean, his jokes had everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, like you said, he did such a great job of hitting the fat jokes, but from all of the angles, from the unhealthy, the heart collapsing, where Hugh kind of just hit on the fact that Duffy may or may not be homeless or looks homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, like after the third homeless joke, I was like, I'm bored now, move on.
Yeah, I mean, in his defense, Duffy looks quite homeless. He looks very homeless.
But but to me he looks more like a leprechaun. Like I was like, hold on, which one of these guys is Irish?
That's a great call. And there was a moment in, Hugh went for 3 punches on the first joke.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 2 connected. You're not seeing double, you're seeing 1.5. Great.
Yes.
He's hobo aspirational. Great. And then when he said homo aspirational, it sort of it was a weird energy, I thought, from the crowd. They didn't like that. And then the same thing we were alluding to in the last battle, that taking back your own sort of thing and twisting it and making it yours, where he was like, well, when you're homeless, you just become bisexual. It just sort of happens.
Yeah.
The self-deprecating shit is really playing well. That was never, if we could take an aside here for a minute, that was never an option in Roast Battle when I started.
Yeah.
The moment you made fun of yourself or agreed with the other person's premise, it was almost like you were admitting defeat. That was the vibe I always felt. I don't know about you, but that's how it felt to me.
I agree. I think that's what made, to me, like Zach Stein stick out so much as a battler when he came on the scene. Was he, to me, was the first person that was like, yeah, I am a piece of shit.
That's a great call.
And that's what made him so formidable and like, what?
Yeah, that's an excellent call. I would have never put that, but he was one of the pioneers of that, and now you're kind of seeing it everywhere. I mean, we've seen it.
Yeah, Paige Wesley, like
Sure.
the greatest at it.
Well, you could always do it in the form of rebuttals, where
Yes,
it's like,
that's true.
yeah, I'm fat, but now there are people who are just straight up like, yeah, dude, I'm fat, and it's not part of a joke or anything. They're just like, yeah, my dad's dead. It sucks, and it gets a laugh.
Yeah,
and it's like it's a really interesting like release of tension. Especially if it's on the heels of a joke that did not work.
Oh, yeah.
It's become a really powerful sort of reversal. But look, ultimately, I liked both of these guys. I wish Hugh had a little bit more sort of variety in his stuff, because some of his things I thought were very, very funny. And it did sort of get a little repetitive, maybe in the middle. But Duffy really stood out to me. I want to see more of both of these guys, but definitely Duffy. He's got an interesting look. He's got an interesting style, and really good joke writing.
He also did something that I've never seen before, which is preemptively
a pre-buttal?
A pre-buttal. Yeah, that was
to what?
To his own joke. Like he said.
Oh, that's right. His opening turn. Yes.
I loved it. I've never seen that before. I loved that he set himself up. It was just such a different way of telling a joke that I've never heard before, and I have to give him kudos for that, because that was delightful and unexpected.
Yeah. Absolutely. So great stuff, as usual, from London. That's the number 3 battle of the week. Now let's move to the Big Apple, New York. This is the number 2 battle of the week, featuring somebody that I believe we've seen before, and I was a big fan of, and I'm excited to see him back. I'm talking about Lukas Arnold, who we saw a little while back, and now he is returning to the show, going up against somebody named Gabby Brown. Now, I got to see this battle today, and I was really impressed by it, and I'm excited for you to see it and you guys to see it. So let's see it.
You guys, Gabby used to be afraid that she was too weird or too Jewish or too gay for stand-up when she began, which is not true. Gabby's actually not much of anything.
Thank you, the boy who barely lived.
Thank you, you sexually frustrated camp counselor.
Lukas is my dear friend, even though he has the unfortunate affliction of looking exactly like my strap-on.
Gabby once made a joke about bisexuals that got her death threats, and she was run off of Twitter for it. On the plus side, though, that was the first time she's ever run.
Easy there, Cabbage Patch pedophile. Lukas often gets recognized on the street because he's famous on TikTok, but when I met him, I actually recognized him from the movie. You guys may know it, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. It's actually a shame that Lukas is Jewish. People don't bring it up very often because our people have honestly been through enough.
You guys, Gabby is going to grad school to become a TV screenwriter, which means she's going to send more pilots to their death than airline dispatch on 9/11.
This is also part black, even though he looks like he's waited his whole life just to say the N-word.
That is true. I am a quarter black and you're Jewish, which means I'm the one quarter you can't pick up off the street. But for real, let's get real for a second, all right? Let's cut out the funny business, all right? Gabby's granddad once touched her boob when she was growing up. And it damaged Gabby emotionally for years.
But he was hot, so.
And damaged her granddad for the rest of his life.
Lukas, that joke makes me remember we have a lot in common. I was molested and you are a child molester. Lukas was a theater major in college. That was the rebuttal. Lukas was a theater major in college, and he's still acting as if he isn't really gay.
Nice joke, Osama bin Lesbian.
Last joke, even though I don't want it to be.
Gabby mentioned how similar we are. It is very true. Over time, we realized just how similar we are. But if Gabby's any indication of what I would be like if my dad was still alive, I'd welcome his cancer all over again.
My dad loved me enough to live. I will give credit where it's due. Lukas is actually doing really well. To think that only 26 years ago, you were just a small sperm in Shrek's balls.
Okay, so that was the number 2 battle of the week. One thing that's striking to me, because I watched these before the edit, and one of the things that I really loved about this battle is the energy of the New York crowd. And then we chop them up because we want you guys to hear as many jokes as possible and not turn this into a whole thing and have it run like super long. We want this to be a digestible show. But so you only get a little bit kind of that crowd. And I think that the clip we just watched maybe doesn't even tell the whole story.
Oh.
You know, where you're kind of like, you're chopping it up and you're getting down to the nitty gritty. And I still thought it was really good watching it back and certainly worthy of the number 2 spot this week. But that crowd was on fire, and they've been doing great stuff in New York at Grove 34 with their Roasted show as part of the Roast Battle League. And I had made a note in my head this morning that I wanted to sort of shout that out and tell them that their crowds have been outstanding recently, and this was no exception. Here, we just kind of hit the jokes. We ran through rapid fire. What are your takeaways from that? What did you think of this battle?
Well, I think that speaks to what we're when Pat and I watch the battles, we're literally just going off of the jokes, what we can hear, what we can see. We don't go off of the audience because we don't get to see it. So I think that's an important note of like, we don't know what happened in the room. We're just analyzing what we see on the screen.
It's a different perspective because now I've watched it twice in 2 different ways, and I think I arrived at kind of the same conclusion. I think Lukas won the battle. I think his material was a little bit better and more consistent. I thought there was a great chemistry between the 2 of them. I can tell that they are friends. I thought Gabby was also really good. I really liked how at the end my dad loved me enough to live. That is a hurtful thing to say to another human being, and God, I respect that.
I do.
But his jokes and rebuttals and everything, the quarter you can't pick up off the street, I thought his stuff was really, really well written and executed. And yeah, just a big fan of both of them, but Lukas in particular shined for me this battle.
I agree, and I did not see the full battle, so for me, this was a little more lackluster than I think maybe it was for you. So like the things that stood out to me the most were more like logistical things of like, I don't know why, but personally, when a comedian uses the mic stand in front of them, it drives me absolutely bonkers. It's so distracting. I don't like it. I want you to take the mic out of the mic stand, move the mic stand. Like it, again, it's so logistic, and I just have to be completely honest. That's the thing that like glared at me the most. The second thing was when Gabby interrupted Lukas's joke. That also to me is a no-no. Like I get it if they're struggling and stumbling and losing momentum and you're doing it of like, hey, I'm saving this moment. But he was mid-sentence and she just cut him off. And to me, that's not what we do in Roast Battle. Roast Battle is about chivalry. It's about supporting your partner. And so those 2 very logistical, non-like joke writing related things are the things that stuck out to me the most.
It's so interesting how we can watch the same video, and I think we have a lot of the same sensibilities, and we've been doing this a long time. I couldn't tell you which one had a mic stand in front of them. Did not notice. I have no idea who you're talking about right now. It did not even register to me. And it's interesting how we could both watch the same thing and arrive at like these different places. I did notice the interruption of the joke, and I don't think it was done from a place of strategy. Like, let me fuck up his joke.
Yeah.
I think they were legitimately having a lot of fun up there. And she tried to like throw a tag or something on there, and I was just glad that his joke still ended up working, because I've seen that before where like somebody steps in between the setup and the punchline, and it takes some of the impact off of the punchline, and that didn't seem to be the case here. It still landed.
See, it landed, but I did feel like a little momentum was lost, and again, that could be because I'm watching a shortened version of the audience reaction, but to me it felt like, it still hit, which is great, and he still like won decisively, but it took a little bit of breath out of it, I thought.
Yeah. Now, my perspective, just as a battler and somebody who's seen a bunch of them, is that it was not done maliciously, because I've seen that done. I've seen people try to interrupt their opponents as a strategy type of thing. I don't think that's what this was. I think it was ultimately pretty harmless. That being said, as the commissioner of the Roast Battle League, it is not up to me to make judgment calls like that. The fact is, Gabby, you violated the rules, and you're going to be suspended for the next 2 years. And I apologize. I have to make an example of you. We can't have that type of behavior on our platform.
People are going to think you're real.
Can I do that? No, I can't do that.
No, I don't want to do that. I want to go on record saying you broke the rules.
Dude, what if I got fucking really power hungry with this dumb job and I was just like...
What if?
I'll be on the next flight to London to tell Hugh Peacock that he needs to diversify his material a little bit more. That's going to be my goal for 2023. Be more of an authoritarian dictator.
I love it. You're going to be the Robert Goodell of Roast Battle.
Roger?
She
works on an NFL show. Yeah. Robert Goodell, Jesus Christ. Anyway, great battle. New York.
I can't remember to say
pumping out quality stuff as usual. Congratulations to Lukas Arnold. Congratulations to Grove 34 and the whole crew over there in New York. You guys are doing a great job. Now, we go to the division. I've spoken about it at length. I won't do it again. Chicago, we know them. We love them. The main event of their latest event was, I used event twice, shouldn't have done that. Grace Leichmann, Jessica Misra, the main event champion, the undercard champion. We've watched them both in the last 2 weeks from our RBL Mega event. Now they're back in Chicago 3 days after that to face off, to unify the titles. Exciting stuff. And full disclosure, I have not watched this one. Now, you might be saying, how could you make it number one if you haven't watched it?
Because we know.
We just know. We just know. And if it's bad, I'm really sorry. That's on me. But I have a feeling it's going to be really good because we've seen these guys and I know what they're capable of. And I frankly wanted to watch it live in here for the first time. So without further ado, title versus title, Grace versus Jessica, Chicago. Let's go.
Grace is all the makings of a serial killer. She's antisocial, she used to wet the bed, and is a man.
It's hard to roast Jess because she has the body of a model. I'm sorry, she has a body of a bottle. Her body is shaped like a bottle of Pepto-Bismol.
Speaking of models, Grace is so tall and skinny she could be a model. The only thing she's missing is being pretty.
It's hard to tell where Jess is from. She's actually from a small town in Illinois called, well, where you're really from.
Grace, you look like if Elon Musk, Brienne of Toth, and the Home Depot all fucked each other. By the way, Musk is the scent she's wearing tonight.
Yes. Thank you, Mindy Failing. Yeah, Jess is the underdog in this match. Underdog is also what her boyfriend calls it when she's on top.
Grace is really single. She's actually never had a man go down on her. They always have to come up.
Yeah, Jess is engaged to a Korean guy. The only guy that wanted to put a ring on it was one that couldn't see her that good.
Grace studied geology, and then she used to drink heavily. So she really knows what rock bottom looks like.
Jess is learning to code. She's going to a coding boot camp, which is weird because she has a personality for band camp and a body for fat camp.
So Grace's parents are divorced. It was a bitter divorce. They fought a ton. Neither of them wanted to keep her. It was actually the second time they fought about keeping her.
Jess was on the swim team in college, and now guys just book her for a backstroke, a breaststroke, anything but her comedy.
If you swim, it'd be a no breaststroke. Grace has never done anal because no man has ever asked her to. It's true, whenever men ask her something, it's usually to help them move. Grace, you have crazy eyes. Your eyes are so crazy, even Kanye is like, ooh.
Jess wants to do stand-up full-time, and her mom is a stay-at-home mom. Both are a disappointment to our gender, but at least her mom doesn't claim that what she made was art.
Grace, you look like, well, just about anyone. If you weren't tall, nobody would ever remember you. I've never seen someone look so much like a Mormon's fourth wife.
Jess was a Girl Scout, which makes sense because a couple more Thin Mints and you'd be full Samoan.
So there it is, the #1 battle of the week, and I'd like to say that my confidence and my faith in these two and Chicago in general was rewarded. I did not watch it before this, but that was, in my mind, clear choice for #1 battle of the week. What do you think?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. These women are so good. Yeah. It's like bonkers. And I mean, Grace mentioned it in the battle. Jessica was the underdog. Grace was the heavy favored, I thought, and just empirically because she was the champion. And Jessica kind of came in and blew the floor, like blew the roof off.
Yeah. The floor, the roof, the walls, the entire thing.
It just exploded.
It was, first of all, I'm marveling at the fact that they did this 3 days after RBL Halloween.
Yeah.
In the main room at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
We have a rule generally out here where if you battle, we don't book you again for at least 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a lot to ask somebody to do 2 back-to-back battles like that. So we have a 3-week buffer. These women got 3 days, and it included, 3,000 miles of air, flight time. Like, they both crushed it in LA, and then they came back to Chicago, and they crushed it again. Now, that being said, both of them were good. Jessica Misra was on a whole other level to me. She was hitting 2 jokes per turn. They were great. Minimum. Yeah, sometimes 3. And they were all hitting harder than the last. She would start out with something that seemed like a simplistic concept. Grace's parents, it was a rough divorce because nobody wanted to keep her. Okay, that's funny. But then to tag it with, it was the second time they fought over whether or not they should keep her. I mean, everything she did to me, and she built momentum. That's the other thing. Like, they both started out towards the beginning. It was like a heavyweight fight, and then you saw Grace start to tire a little bit as it went on. And she's still performing at a very high level, but Jessica just got stronger and stronger as the battle, went on.
Yeah, and like you said, every one of her jokes started off with a simple, good joke, and then tag. Like, they just kept building. And I think it got to a point where, like, Grace just couldn't keep up anymore. And this is honestly the first time I've ever seen Grace have a couple of bombs. And I know, like, we're going to heavily edit this video. You can go watch the full thing on YouTube. I know Pat said that, but I also want to say, like, you can go watch the full battle. So I'm only going to allude, but I've never seen her have legit, like, not working jokes, and we saw a couple of those this time.
Yeah, I mean, this is a highlight show, so we want to show you guys the highlights. We're not telling the full story, and the full story paints, in my opinion, a much more clear picture of Jessica winning than whatever this is going to look like, by the time it comes out. Chicago is doing, I think it was 15 jokes. for their title match, which makes it even more impressive.
That's
3 days after this big, because you have a letdown after a big battle. Now, no, you don't have time for a letdown. 3 days later, you have to do 15 jokes. So the full battle is available on Roast Battle Chicago's YouTube channel, and you could see it was divided into 3 rounds, and there was a second round where, Grace really, really struggled. And you're right. It was almost like watching, if you buy a ticket to go see Jordan play, and he scores 12 points. And you're sort of like, wow, that was uncharacteristic. And it stands out because he has set the bar so high. This is somebody who has never lost in her entire roast battle career, became the champion. I believe it was a 64-person tournament, ran through the field.
Oh.
Yeah, came to L.A.
Just watched her not destroy, but beat handedly one of the greatest of all time.
And Joe Urell, yep, absolutely. Absolutely. On the road, on his turf, come out to L.A., and then it was just, we all have an off night somewhere. And her off night is better than a lot of people's on night.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about on nights, that's what Jessica Misra had. I mean, the angles that she was taking to do, I'm always impressed when somebody could do a looks joke about somebody who doesn't have a look. And then that's the joke. I've never seen someone look so much like a Mormon's fourth wife. Was just outstanding. Really just great stuff. I don't even know what to say at this point. I'm just blown away by the consistency and the high level that these women both perform at every time we see them.
I agree. I just thought it exemplified why they're both so good, why they're both on top of their game. I didn't have much to say about it other than hell yeah.
And we talked about last week about whether or not we're going to do a year-end awards thing or something like that. If we had Battler of the Year and I had to come up with 5 nominees, we just saw 2 of them.
Hands down.
In my mind, in that battle.
I agree. These 2 are top of their game, hands down, to me, top 5 battlers in the RBL right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So amazing stuff. Congratulations to both of you. Congratulations to the new champ, Jessica Misra. And for Grace, go ahead and take 4 days off before your next battle. You've earned it. I think that's fair, right?
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun. We're back in the swing of things doing our top 5. We'll be back next week doing the same thing. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. I am on social media. Follow me on Instagram. I got my Facebook back. We talked about this last week. I'm like, why the fuck did I ever use this thing? This sucks. And Elon Musk is in the process of destroying Twitter, which I've never liked in the first place.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm too old for TikTok, so it's Instagram exclusively for me, at the Pat Barker, at RBL Commish.
At Sarah Keller 07.
Exactly. Follow us all. At Roast Battle Chicago, at Roast Battle UK. Follow the whole fucking family. Until next time, I'm Pat Barker. That's Sarah Keller. And we'll see you guys next week with more RBL Weekly.